One of the biggest names in wealth, Bill Gates, just got absolutely rocked off the world's top 10 richest list. This isn't some Wall Street blunder or a bad investment. This is a deliberate, earth-shattering move that saw his fortune plummet. The real reason behind his massive fall, and who surprisingly leapfrogged him on the list, a man who used to fetch his coffee? I'm saving all the jaw-dropping details for the very end of this video. You're gonna want to stick around for that. So here's the deal. Bill Gates, the guy who co-founded Microsoft, just tumbled from the 5th spot all the way down to 12th place on the global riches list. His total net worth? It's now sitting at about $124 billion. That's still a crazy amount of cash, but it's a huge drop from where he was just a week ago. Get this, in just 1 week, his fortune took a staggering hit of about $52 billion. That's a whopping 30% plunge of his total wealth. Think about that for a second. Most folks would be freaking out if they lost even a tiny fraction of that. But for Gates, this wasn't some accidental loss of cash. It was by design. The financial bigwigs who track all this money, like Bloomberg, recalibrated how they count his wealth. Why? Because Gates has been screaming from the rooftops about his plan to literally give away almost all of his money. This huge drop isn't because he lost it, it's because the system finally started counting what he's intentionally given away. Gates isn't hoarding his cash. He's made it crystal clear. He views his massive fortune not as something to be hoarded, but as a resource to be directed toward solving some of humanity's biggest problems. He's made a public vow to offload almost his entire fortune. He said in a blog post earlier this year that he had about $108 billion and that he's committed to donating pretty much all of it over the next 20 years. He's also determined to achieve a powerful legacy. He even said, "People will say a lot of things about me when I die, but I am determined that he died rich will not be one of them. There are too many urgent problems to solve for me to hold on to resources that could be used to help people." That's a strong statement of purpose right there. And he's doing it through the Gates Foundation, which he co-chairs with his ex-wife, Melinda French Gates. This foundation is a beast. By the end of last year, it had already funneled out a mind-blowing $60 billion to various causes. And get this, even investing legend Warren Buffett has poured another $43 billion into the foundation's mission. Gates isn't just tinkering around the edges with his charity. He's got a massive plan. He estimates the foundation will shell out over $200 billion before it finally closes its doors for good by the end of 2045. Yeah, you heard that right. The whole thing is set to wrap up because he wants that money out there, working, fixing things during his lifetime. He's determined to not be remembered as someone who died rich. He wants to save and improve lives globally. The foundation's focus is on some seriously critical stuff. We're talking global health issues like wiping out diseases such as malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS, making sure everyone gets vaccines, and boosting maternal and child health. They're also heavily into education, supporting innovations with a focus on equity and access. Plus, they're working to stamp out poverty by funding agricultural development, financial services for the poor, and emergency relief. Gates has even specifically said that a huge chunk of that $200 billion will be directed towards improving health and education across Africa. This isn't just charity, it's a full-on war on global problems. He's even a co-founder of the Giving Pledge, which encourages billionaires to donate at least half their wealth to charity. Now for the craziest part of the story, the one you've been waiting for. Guess who's now richer than Bill Gates? Steve Ballmer. Yep, the same Steve Ballmer who used to be Gates' assistant back in 1980, then took over as CEO of Microsoft back in 2000. Talk about a plot twist. Ballmer is now sitting pretty at the 5th spot on the billionaire list with a net worth around $172 billion. That puts him ahead of the guy who hired him. This is a super rare event in the corporate world, an employee becoming wealthier than the founder. So how did Ballmer pull this off? It boils down to one simple, brilliant move. He held onto his Microsoft stock. Back in the day when Ballmer first joined Microsoft, his compensation changed from a crazy profit-sharing deal to a huge chunk of company stock because his bonuses were getting too high. When he stepped down as CEO in 2014, he still owned about 4% of Microsoft. And boy, did that pay off. Over the past 10 years, Microsoft stock has absolutely exploded, soaring more than 10 times its value. While Gates and other co-founder Paul Allen diversified their investments, Ballmer stuck with it. He famously recalled Warren Buffett's late business partner, Charlie Munger, asking him why he held on to his Microsoft stock when others diversified. Ballmer's simple answer? No, Charlie, but I'm not loyal. That loyalty bought him a fortune. Oh, and just to show off, he also owns the LA Clippers NBA team. Nice. So, where does this leave everyone else? The top of the billionaire pile still has some familiar faces, but the order shifts. Here's a quick look at who's leading the pack, including where Gates now stands. Elon Musk is still number one with about $360 billion. Then it's Mark Zuckerberg with around $250 billion. Larry Ellison is right there too at about $250 billion. Jeff Bezos rounds out the top four with about $240 billion. And then Steve Ballmer, sitting pretty at number five with his $172 billion. Following him are Larry Page with about $160 billion, Bernard Arnault with about $150 billion, Sergey Brin with $150 billion, Warren Buffett with $150 billion, and Jensen Huang with $140 billion. Even Michael Dell sneaks in at 11th with $138 billion before you hit Gates at 12th. Bill Gates still owns about 1% of Microsoft shares, and he's collected over $60 billion in stock and dividends from the company over the years. Most of that cash is now managed by his holding company, Cascade Investment, which pours money into everything from real estate to energy and other companies. Microsoft itself is still a titan, the world's second most valuable company, with a total company value of about $3.7 trillion. But the biggest takeaway here, the full detail I promised you, is that Gates' shift isn't a financial failure. It's a purposeful transfer of wealth. He's putting his money where his mouth is, literally moving billions to tackle huge global problems. He's showing the world that wealth isn't just about collecting, but it's about deploying. His goal is to die having given away almost everything. That's a different kind of rich. So there you have it, the shocking truth behind Bill Gates' drop from the top. If you found this breakdown valuable, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more straight talk financial insights, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on anything important. Until next time, stay smart with your money.